on the way home radio. What's good, Maniacs? It's your boy Manny. CallMeManny.com. This podcast is one of the many ways that I'm trying to stay in touch with you. If you consider yourself to be a fan of my music, you should go to CallMeManny.com/get updates to learn more. Why did I decide to start a podcast? Yeah. Why did you decide to start a podcast? You should be recording music right now, not talking to the microphone or the camera. What's up? Welcome to episode 1 of On the Way Home Radio. This podcast is probably not going to be like any normal podcast you listen to. And in this episode, I'll explain why. But I guess I just wanted to first formally say hi. How are you? How's everything? I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for listening. You, yes, you, talking to you, nobody else, just you right now. You are the reason why I even still care to make music after, this entire time frame of working on music. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. You're definitely going to want to hear this to the end. I hope you stay to the end. If you are listening on Apple Music or Spotify or any other podcast service, great. Hope you like the sound of my voice. If you want to, I guess, visually see me as well, I am going to be recording these podcast episodes for YouTube when I do them. So if you are on YouTube, hello. Nice to see you. Okay. In this episode, I'm going to break down the who, what, when, where, and why of this podcast. And hopefully it gives you an idea of what to expect for all the future episodes of this podcast, however they may be. So let's start with the who. So, if you're here, very likely you know who I am. But I guess I can give you just a quicker background of what you might get in my biography on my website. My name is Manny Alcantara. I'm Dominican. I'm originally from a city called Lynn, Massachusetts. Lynn, the city of sin. You never come out the way you came in, blah, 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 blah. Those of you that are not from Lynn have no idea what I did. Those of you that are from Lynn, shout out to you. Lynn is a city right north of Boston. Diehard Boston fan, by the way. Sports fan. Boston fan in general as well. So if you're not a Boston sports fan, I'm so sorry. It'll be okay. I am an independent artist. I for the most part have labeled myself as an R&B singer, but I've done a lot, other than R&B. I've done dancehall, I've done reggae, I have done rap. But for the most part, R&B singer. I got my undergrad at Salem State University in Salem, Massachusetts, in entrepreneurship and management with a minor in music, which is cool. Right after my undergrad, I moved to Florida, South Florida, where I currently live. And I was going to say something that I did, but there's like so much that I've done in between there. It's like, how do I talk about all this without making this podcast 50 minutes long? I don't want these podcasts to be super long, by the way. Anyways, some point in time in my career, I had a couple songs that went viral in the New York area. Shout out to anybody listening from New York. Probably most of you are listening from New York. Appreciate you. Shout out to the Bronx. Everybody that knows the Bronx wine. Definitely changed my life, which is great. The songs that I had that went viral were What Was I Thinking? And then more notably, Out My Way. So appreciate you if you know those songs. I at one point in time in my career moved to New York City. Some of you might not know that. I released a EP called Prequel, which was supposed to be, obviously, the prequel to my very first album, which was going to be called Chapter 1. I haven't released Chapter 1 yet. But we'll see how that plays out. Then I moved back to Florida, and then I had another song that went viral, which is awesome. It was Fallen Out of Love, and I was in a very low place in my life before I moved back from New York to Florida. I guess we might get into that in another video. That might actually be more likely in my YouTube, my stories video, my stories series that I have in there. But anyways, so moved back down to Florida. Ended up getting my master's degree in marketing at FIU. Shout out to my FIU listeners. Appreciate y'all, Panthers. What's up? My professor or professors, if you're listening, I know one of my professors is prescribed and might be listening to this. So shout out to you, professor. Thank you so much for all of your help. And yeah, I stopped making music for a while. And then after I graduated from FIU, I decided, let me try again, but I'm going to try a completely different way. And I'm just realizing that the camera is about to die during my podcast. Which is like, so smart, Manny. Why wouldn't you have charged your camera? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to step away for a second to fix my camera. And I guess I have to edit this out. I might not edit this out. Just give me a second. Hold on. All right. It's probably hilarious for all of you that are listening on your devices. But yeah, that was the sound of me fixing the battery on my camera, and all of you on YouTube. I'll put a please stand by image on the screen. Okay. Anyway, so that was a little bit of the who of who I am. You can learn more about me actually by subscribing to my YouTube channel. I have a series called Stories where I talk a little bit more about my past in music, and Q&A where you can ask me anything and I'll go ahead and give you an answer in a following video. Cool. So that's the who. What? What is this podcast? I think the main design that I have for this podcast would be just a way for me to talk to you about right now. I have the stories and the Q&A. Everything that I have already set up is mainly around my past things that I've already done. And shout out to all of you, by the way, that have been so patient with me on my music, because I am so sporadic when it comes to releasing music. And I know that's something I need to fix. And actually, this is part of my process to hopefully get over that. Got something called the 70%, which I might talk about in another podcast episode or something. Let me mute my phone. This is hilarious. I really feel like this is my second time recording or anything like this. The first time, though, I didn't record it with video. Okay, and so that's why I actually didn't release that. I want to do it with the video. I actually feel like it's a little bit more it's a little bit more personal. But don't expect these to be like high production type podcasts. In fact, many of these episodes might be filmed from my phone, through AirPods, not my DSLR and my recording microphone. I guess I'm doing this for episode 1 so you can get an idea that maybe this will be a higher quality podcast. But I feel like it's more important to me that it's just a way for me to talk to you and let my thoughts out about what's happening right now. So I am not going to care as much about the production quality, and I apologize in advance if episode 2 has terrible audio. Hopefully it doesn't. So the what is that this is a podcast where I'm going to be able to just kind of talk to you and let out my thoughts about what's happening right now. It's going to be more of a current vision of me, current idea of what's going on with me, with my mind at this very moment. And hopefully, I guess, just give you a little bit of a better explanation for why I haven't released new music yet, or why it takes me so long to release music. And give you something while you're waiting. Because I feel bad. I genuinely feel bad. So that's the what. So who, what, where, who, what, where, when, why, who, what, when, where, when, why. Is it where, when, or when, where? Let's just go to the when. I plan on doing this weekly, but I actually feel like when I have a lot of moments where I just can't sleep, I have 1,000,001 things on my mind. It's funny because I wrote a song about that. And I think that taking 10 to 15 minutes to talk to you through the camera in a very non-scripted, non-planned out kind of way would be helpful for me. So, I mean, there's a part of me that wants to make sure that this is coming out weekly, but this is not going to be necessarily something planned or structured in a way where I'm absolutely going to be doing it every week. It might actually be more often. It might actually be something that I do every 3 or 4 days. I don't know. I have no idea. I also don't plan to be as strategic about anything else that I do. Like, so a podcast might come out in the middle of nowhere at 2 a.m. or something like that. I don't know, on a random day. It might be back to back. Maybe 2 podcasts on the same day. I don't know. Whatever comes to my mind is whatever's going to happen. So that's the when. Hopefully you're still here. If you're still here, shout out to you. My email, by the way, is Manny at OTWHmusic.com. Manny, MANNY, at OTWHmusic.com. The OTWH stands for On The Way Home. That is my record label, On The Way Home Music. I have a playlist, by the way, on Spotify called On The Way Home Music. And this, of course, is On The Way Home Radio. But if you want to reach out to me directly, you can do that by emailing me at manny@otwhmusic.com. Or you could send me a text to... I'm sorry. Getting the number. Didn't have all this planned out. You can send me a text to 754-799-0044. 754-799-0044. So, yeah, send me a text. Say hi. Cool. That's my number. Like, if you text me right now, I'm gonna get it, and I'll reply. Just tell me you got my number from my podcast, and let me know where you're coming from. I'd love to have a conversation. Cool. So we did the who, the what, the when, the where. Well, I'm in Florida. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know that right now I'm actually in front of my personal studio-esque setup right now, with cool lighting. Got decent lighting here, and I got my Neumann TM103 microphone. Affiliate link in the description. I don't even know if I'm gonna do that. But anyway, so this is where I am right now. But again, this podcast is going to be recorded wherever I might be on whatever system I have available for me at the time. So I guess I'll maybe let you know where I am if it's relevant, but not too big of a deal. Maybe one of the other things I can say about the where is where you could hear it. So of course you can hear it on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere else where you can get a podcast. And then, of course, my YouTube channel. So, cool. That's the where. And then let's get into the most important one, the why. So, why did I start this podcast? I guess I really feel like if you dissect the idea of being a famous musician for a moment, they're not necessarily exclusive. You could be famous and not be a musician by just being known for something, of course. And you can be a musician and not be famous just by making music. So it's actually really easy to be a musician. All you have to do is make music. It's really hard to be famous. And I always kind of thought that if my music blew up, I would blow up. And that didn't happen. So many people know Out My Way, but they have no idea who I am. And it's almost like on a daily basis that somebody will message me and say, "You're the Manny that sang Out My Way?" I'm like, yeah. And then they don't even believe it. They're like, sing to me. Like, you don't look like Manny. What does Manny look like? I don't know. So I think part of the reason for that, right? Why did that happen? I think it's because I didn't communicate. And it's so funny because like as a boss, like as a manager in my work, my real life, and my music life. Fortunately, they're not the same thing. But in my work life, I'm all about communication. It's so important to me. Consistent communication. But in my music life or in my social media life, which by the way, I wouldn't even have social media if it wasn't for my music. Anyways, getting off topic. I haven't been communicating. And therefore, people that might have heard Out My Way or fallen out of love, they didn't know who I was or care. Maybe they did care. Maybe they did care who I was, but I wasn't talking. So they were like, okay, well, there's no dialogue here, so goodbye. Man, there's I regret so many things, right? Like one of the things I regret is that I would get DMs back then, well, when Out My Way was really taking off, from so many people telling me about how the song was changing their life, how they were able to get out of abusive relationships, and so many things, so many great stories. And I would literally be at work. I would receive the direct message. I'd read it, paragraph, read the whole thing. I'd be like, wow, I can't believe that this happened. And I'd go to my friend at work and I'd say, look what somebody just said about my song. And they'd go, cool. They didn't care. The people closest to me didn't even listen to my music. It's freaking crazy. And then I would lock my phone and put it in my pocket. I didn't reply. There's so many people that I didn't reply to. And it's just like mind-boggling to me. Like, why would I do that? Why did I do that then? I would never do that now. I've been replying to everybody. Everybody's been getting a response from me that's been sending me a message. There's so many people. There's another thing. I actually mentioned this in my most recent podcast. I got interviewed on a podcast. And he asked, or I was telling him about how when my YouTube first started blowing up, I was getting so many subscribers on a daily basis in my email. Every time somebody subscribes, I get an email notification. I was getting so many subscribers that I turned off the email notification because it was annoying. Because I couldn't read through my regular emails. I was like, well, I don't even know what's happening in my email right now, so unsubscribe or I unsubscribed to the email notifications for my subscribers. It's ridiculous. I mean, I would kill to have that problem today. It'd be amazing if all of a sudden everybody was subscribing. Which if you haven't already, if you've made it this long, I mean, that we're probably like 20 to 30 minutes into this video. I have no idea. I know that since my battery died, we're 14 minutes in. So we were probably we're probably close to like 20 to 30 minutes. You should subscribe. But anyways, I just think about all the things that I did wrong. I didn't communicate. And even today, I am working on some things, working on my stories, YouTube video, my Q&A. I do reading comments on Instagram, trying to be a lot more consistent. You're actually hearing my opinion, including my political opinion on my Twitter. So there's a lot of different things that I'm doing right now that I never did before to let you know who I am. But all of it is kind of very strategic, planned out, thought through. And this is not. Clearly, this episode has been a mess. Anyways, so that's the whole point. That's the why, is that I'd like to kind of open up communication between me and you and be able to have a conversation and really just kind of let you into my mind along the way. Cool. Yeah. So that was the who, the what, the when, the where, the why did I start this podcast. If you made it all the way here to the end, I truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. It really means the world to me. Share this podcast with a friend. And as always, be great. On the Way Home Radio.